So now we are going to start with the first chapter of basic ideas of vector calculus. So till now we have studied what are scalar and vector fields and how the vectors they get added up, how the vectors they get multiplied. So now we are going to start with what are scalar and vector fields. So when we will be talking about scalar field, we will talk about scalar quantity, and when we will talk about vector field, we will talk about vector quantities. So what is a scalar field? It is a region of space in which a scalar quantity it has unique value at every point. So the scalar quantity it has unique value at every point. So that region of space is called as scalar field. For example, the temperature in a room. The variation of temperature at every point in a room, it is a scalar field. If you look in the room, there are various electronic objects. So the temperature around those electronic objects, it is more as compared to the temperature around the refrigerator which is kept in the same room. So the temperature, it has unique value at every point in the room. So that region of space, it is called as scalar field. Next is the definition of a vector field. The same definition it goes for vector field, but now we will not talk about scalar quantity, we will talk about vector quantity instead. That is, the vector field, it is a region of space in which a vector quantity has a unique value. Unique value means it will have a unique magnitude as well as direction at every point in that region of space. So that is called as a vector field. For example, you can say of that electric field. The electric field close to a pointed charge. The electric field, let's say a pointed charge, it is kept in the room. So the electric field close to the point charge, it is more as compared to the region of space which is far away from that point. So there will be unique values in case of magnitude and direction of that particular vector quantity. So that region of space, it is called as a vector field, and it is represented by E vector. It is represented by a vector quantity. So this will be dependent on the coordinates. So the vector quantity it is dependent upon the coordinates x, y, z, or you can simply say it is dependent upon the position vector. Now there are various formulae which we will be using which are related to the derivatives of the vector. So first is this time derivative of a vector plus minus capital B vector. So this is simply equal to, first you will do the derivative of a vector, then you will do the derivative of B vector. So this will be equal to dA vector by dt plus minus dB vector divided by dt. Next formula is for the time derivative of the dot product of two vectors. So when there is a dot product of two vectors and when you do its derivative, it is simply equal to, first of all you will do the derivative of first vector and the second vector it will remain as it is, that is dA vector divided by dt times the second vector will remain as it is, but now consider this, here we have a dot product. So this is not a simple multiplication, this will be the dot product. So you have to keep in mind, if there is a dot product, this will be the dot product of the two terms, plus the first vector will remain as it is with dot product with the derivative of the second vector. Similar is the case in case of cross product. So in case of d by dt of a cross b vector, the same procedure will be there. That is, first of all we will do the derivative of first vector cross product with the second vector will remain as it is, plus first vector will remain as it is, cross product with the derivative of the second vector. Now when you are going to do the derivative of a particular vector, when you are going to do the derivative of a particular vector, like over here we have dA by dt, dB by dt, dA by dt and dB by dt. So when we are doing the derivative of a vector, so the vector it can be written in terms of its components, that is ax I cap, ay j cap plus az k cap. So then you do the individual derivatives of the components. So this will be equal to dAx by dt, I cap will remain as it is, plus dy by dt, j cap will remain as it is, plus daz by dt, k cap will remain as it is. Next is formula for the derivative of a scalar function which is multiplied by a, or you can say scalar field which is multiplied by a vector field. So when you do the derivative, we know the phi function, it will be also dependent upon time. Let's say phi is also dependent upon time and a vector is also dependent upon time. So first of all, you will do the derivative of first scalar, that is d phi by dt, times vector will remain as it is. Now here is simple multiplication, so here also there will be simple multiplication, plus phi will remain as it is, and then you do the derivative of the vector. Then we have derivative of constant times a vector. So since this is the constant, it will be coming out of the derivative operator. So this will be simply equal to c times dA vector by dt. Now dE vector, this is the small change in the vector dE vector. It can be written in the form of del E vector by del x dx. Let's say the E vector, it is a function of x, y and z. So what will be dE vector, that is small change in the vector field. This will be equal to the partial derivative. This is the partial derivative of the vector field times dx plus the partial derivative of electric field with respect to y times dy plus the partial derivative of vector field with respect to z times dz. So this is how we write dE vector. Next we have the scalar field and we want to find what is du. Here we have found the small change in the vector field. Now we are going to find the small change in the scalar field. So du, u is a function of x, y, z. So du can also be written in the same manner, that is it will be equal to du del du by del x, that is the partial derivative of u with respect to x times dx plus the partial derivative of u with respect to y times dy plus the partial derivative of u with respect to z times dz. Now I will show you a quick review of what is the partial derivative. So the partial derivative, first of all the complete derivative, it is represented by d by dx. So let's say we are doing the complete derivative of x square y. So in case of complete derivative, how you solve this particular operator, you will use this particular formula, that is d by dx of u times v. First of all you will take u outside, then you do the derivative of v, plus then you take v outside and you do the derivative of u function. So this is how you solve the complete derivative of this particular function. Now what is the partial derivative of this same function, that is del by del x. This is called as the partial derivative of x square y. So when you are doing the partial derivative with respect to a particular variable, all the variables in the function except this particular variable with which you are doing the derivative, all the variables except this particular variable, they will be treated constant. That is, here we have y. The y will be treated as constant because we are doing derivative with respect to x. So y, z, k, l, m, any variable which is present in the function except x, they will be treated constant values. So simply you can take y outside the derivative when you are doing the partial derivative. So you can take y outside and you can simply do the partial derivative of x square. So this will simply work as the normal derivative. So the result of this will be simply equal to 2x. The partial derivative of x square, it will be simply equal to 2x. So the result will be equal to 2xy. So this is how the partial derivative works. The next very important operator that we are going to study is the del operator, and it is represented by this particular symbol and a vector at the top. This del operator, it is operated on a scalar or a vector field. This del operator, it is operated either on a scalar or on a vector field. Now we know this is the derivative operator, d by dx. This is the derivative operator and it is operated on a particular function. So it is operated on a particular function. Now this, in the similar way, del operator, this is also an operator and it operates on a scalar or a vector field. Now the representation of del vector, it is equal to I cap del by del x, this is the partial derivative, plus the partial derivative with respect to x plus j cap del by del y plus k cap del by del z. So this you have to remember. The representation of del operator is equal to I cap del by del x plus j cap del by del y plus k cap del by del z. Now firstly we will operate this del operator on a scalar. So when this operator, it is operated on a scalar quantity. Let's say the scalar quantity that we are going to take is u. Let's say we represent it by capital U. So del operator, it is operated on a scalar field. So when it is operated on a scalar field, so when this whole del operator, it will be operated on a scalar field u. So you will simply get I cap del u by del x plus j cap del u by del y plus k cap del u by del z. So you just operate this whole operator on u. So simply you will get this particular expression. And you can clearly see we have I cap, j cap, k cap. You can clearly see that del operator, when it is operated on a scalar field, it gives us a vector result. So in result we will get a vector quantity. And this del operator, when it is operated on a scalar field, it is also called as gradient of u. This operator, it is given, when it is operated on a scalar field, it is given the name that of gradient of u. It is called as gradient of u. Therefore the result of del operator on a scalar field, it is a vector field. So the result of operating del operator on scalar field is a vector quantity. Now second case is for operating the del operator on a vector quantity. Now the del operator, it can be operated on a vector quantity either through the scalar product or through the vector product. So first of all we will look at the scalar product. So we will have del dot product with E vector. So this is the scalar product. So E vector, it is the vector field we are considering. So let's suppose the vector field over here is E vector and it is represented by Ex I cap plus Ey j cap plus Ez k cap. So del operator, it is given a representation which is this, that is I cap del by del x plus j cap del by del y plus k cap del by del z. So we are doing the dot product, or you can say the scalar product with E vector. Now E vector, it can also be written in terms of its components. So this will be simply equal to del Ex by del x plus del Ey by del y plus del Ez by del z. So you can operate these all terms. So this term particular del by del x times I cap, it will be operated on all the components. Similarly, this del by del y, it will also operate on all the components of E vector. Similarly, del by del z will also be operated on all the components of the electric field. But there we will just get three terms. The terms of I dot j cap, or you can say j dot k cap or k dot j cap, they all will be equal to 0. So you will simply get del Ex by del x plus del Ey by del y plus del Ez by del z. So this is the del dot E vector. And you can clearly see that when you do the scalar product of the del operator and the electric and the vector field, this gives us a scalar quantity, and this del dot E, it is given a name that it gives us the divergence of vector field. So this we will look at in the further lectures, that what is divergence. So simply del dot E, it is the divergence of E vector. Now when you are considering the vector product, so we are operating del vector on the vector field through vector product. So that is, we are solving del cross E. So now we are solving del cross E vector. So this is the cross product. So simply this will be equal to, it can be solved using the determinant. So the first row will be just I, j and k cap. Second row is the components of first vector, which is del by del x, del by del y and del by del z from here. So here del by del x, del by del y and del by del z. Then we have E vector components. So we will write Ex, Ey and Ez. So when you solve this determinant, you will get this particular expression. So you solve the determinant, you will get this particular expression of del cross E, and you can clearly see that this is a vector quantity. So del cross E vector, it gives us a vector quantity, and we will look in further lectures that this del cross E term, it will also be called as curl of E vector. So we will see the significance of what is curl. So there we will see that curl of E vector, it is equal to del cross E vector. So these results you have to remember. First, that gradient of U, it is given by this expression, then divergence of E, it is given by this expression, and del cross of E, it is given by this determinant. Now next is what are the integrals that we will be using in lectures. First is the line integral, or you can say the first is the open line integral. When you are doing the line integral of a particular quantity, so what you do is you integrate over a single integral, because this is the line integral, that is we are integrating over a single dimension or a single coordinate. So this will be the simple one integration. Next is the closed line integral. So for example, for the case of open line integral, let's say you have to do the integral of E vector over a circular loop. Let's say over a circular loop which is given by this particular diagram. So this is the circular loop, and E vector, it is immersed in E vector. Now E vector is acting in any random direction, so there is a vector field, and we have to do the line integral of E vector over this circular loop. So on this circular loop there will be a line element. Let's say at any particular point there will be a line element which is called as dl vector, which is represented as dl vector. So when you are finding the line integral of E vector over a circular loop, so over this particular small line element, the line integral will be equal to E vector dot dl vector. So this will be the line integral of E vector on this particular small line element. Now if you have to find the integral of E over the whole circular loop, then you do the integration over the whole loop. So in case of open line integral, the contour, or you can say the contour on which we are doing the integration, it is not closed. Over here I have drawn a closed loop. So let's say if you have to do the integration of vector field over this particular line, so electric field, it is flowing in this direction, and there is a circular loop which is drawn over here, and we have to do the integration of electric field over this particular line. So that will be simply equal to E vector dot dl vector, and it's open integral over the whole curve. So next is the closed line integral. In the case of closed line integral, we have a closed loop which was shown in the first figure. We have a closed loop, and we have to do the integration of a particular field over a closed loop. So in that case the line integral will remain the same, E vector dot dl vector, plus we will do the integration. But now over here we have a circular loop which is closed, therefore we put over here a symbol of a closed loop. So a circle is drawn over here on the integral sign. So the symbol of closed line integral is this one. Next we have open surface integral. Since we are talking about surface over here, so therefore we will write two integral terms, that is we will write two integrations. In case of closed surface integral also we will write two integrations, plus now this is the closed surface integral, therefore we will draw a circle or a loop on the both integrals. So this represents the closed surface integral, this represents the open surface integral. So let's say if we have been asked to find the surface integral of vector field over this surface. Let's say this is the surface, this is the whole surface. Now you can clearly see this is an open surface. So this is a sheet of a paper, let's say this is a sheet of a paper. So this is an open surface. Instead, if you take a spherical body over here, a spherical surface, so that surface is a closed surface. So in this particular case, we have open surface. Now if we have to do the integration, surface integration over this surface, that will be simply equal to E vector dot dA vector, which is the area element over here. Now this will be the area element and we will do the surface integration. So we will have two integrals. Now in case of a closed surface integral, let's say this surface is closed, we have a spherical body instead of this particular sheet. So in that case the surface integral will be equal to same E vector dot dA vector and its closed surface integration. So that is represented by this symbol. Next is the volume integration. So for volume integration there are three integrals used. So here there will be no closed volume integral because volume, we are talking about volume, and volume in itself it is a closed quantity. So volume integral, it is simply represented by three integrals. And volume integration, let's say if we have been asked to find the volume integration of charge density. Let's say there is some charge density that is present in the space. Let's say there are various charges that are present in the space and the charge density of this system is rho. So there is a volume which is drawn, that let's say that is a spherical body, and we have been asked to find the volume integration of this charge density in this particular volume. So that will be simply equal to three integrals times rho times dV. dV is the small volume element. So when you do the integration over the volume, we use three integrals. Next important quantity we are going to talk about is the flux of a vector through a surface. Now what is flux? Flux will be through a particular surface. When we are defining the flux, it is always defined for a particular surface. So flux of a particular vector through a surface, it is the dot product of the vector itself and the surface element. So the dot product or the scalar product of a vector field at any point and the elementary area ds vector, the dot product of the vector field and the elementary area which is drawn around that particular point. So let's say we are talking about this particular point in space. There is electric field, so there will be some value of electric field at this particular point. So let's say the electric field at this particular point, it is in this direction. So we are talking about this particular single point in the space. Now an elementary area ds vector, it is drawn around this particular point. So the dot product of E vector and the ds vector which is drawn around this particular point, it is called as flux of E vector through that particular area, through this particular area. So that is called as flux of the vector. So we do the dot product of this particular vector at a particular point. The dot product, we will do the dot product with the area element which is drawn around that point. So the dot product of a vector field at a particular point and the elementary area ds vector which is drawn around that particular point, it is called as the flux of E vector through that particular elementary area. So this is the flux of E through this particular area. So the flux d phi, generally flux is represented by phi, but since we are talking about elementary area ds vector, so this is represented by d phi and this is equal to the dot product of the vector field and the area element drawn around a particular point. So that is E vector dot ds vector. So let's say this surface area, this is the small surface area element. Let's say we are talking about a larger surface area. Let's say this is the larger surface area that we have drawn. This is a larger surface. So the flux through this larger surface, it will be simple integration, surface integration of vector E dot ds, because E dot ds is the flux which is passing through the small surface element, and if we are talking about a large surface, then we just do the surface integration of this particular term, so that will give us the total flux through a certain area. So if the surface we are talking about, this is a closed surface. Let's say if you are talking about a cuboid or a cube or a sphere. So if the surface is closed, then the flux it is written as the closed surface integral of E dot ds. Now E dot ds, it is the dot product, so it can be simply written as E ds cos theta, where theta is the angle between E vector and the ds vector. So this is the small area element, this is the E vector, and this is the ds vector. This is the area vector. Now area, we know it has a magnitude plus area has a direction, and the direction of area is always perpendicular to the surface we are talking about. So the area vector, it is always perpendicular to the surface of the surface we are talking about. So the E dot ds, it is equal to E ds cos theta, where theta is the angle between E and ds vector. So this can be written as E cos theta times ds. So this expression, it can be written as E cos theta times ds. So E cos theta, it is simply the component of E along ds, because theta is the angle between E and ds. Therefore E cos theta is the component of E along ds. This is similar when we are doing the projection of a particular vector. So let's say this is the vector A, and this is the x-axis, and this is the angle between x-axis and the A vector. So when you do the projection of A vector on the x-axis, we get a particular value, so that is equal to A cos theta. This projection of a vector on the x-axis at an angle of theta, this is equal to A cos theta. So this is the projection, or you can say this is the component of A vector along x-axis. So A cos theta is the component of A vector along x-axis. Now similarly here theta, this is the angle between ds and E. So E cos theta, it will be the component of E along ds times ds, it will remain as it is. Now this ds vector, we have already done that it is directed normal to the surface. Therefore this E cos theta, which is the component, the E cos theta, it is the component of E along ds. So E cos theta, it will be also normal to the surface. So E cos theta, it is the component of E normal to the surface, because we have studied that E cos theta is the component of E along ds, and ds is directed perpendicular or normal to the surface. Therefore E cos theta is also normal to the surface. Therefore this particular expression E dot ds and its surface integration, this is called as total normal flux. So E cos theta is perpendicular to the surface, ds vector is also perpendicular to the surface. So its surface integration, this will give us, this is also called as total normal